Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
And I'm Walt Buteau. Pat Masters is off tonight. That crane collapse happened last night while the operator loaded cargo onto a ship. Tonight we're learning much more about the victim and the investigation into his death. It's our top local story at 5:30 tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Raina Smith joins us now with the details.
OSHA has been on scene all day looking for clues as to what caused this tragic accident. Officials say Todd Rushworth was the crane operator who was trapped inside the cabin of this crawler crane and killed after a freak accident late last night. Today, flags are flying at half-staff at Metals Recycling, where the 42-year-old man worked for 15 years. The company says the man was loading this ship with scrap metal when the boom suddenly collapsed. Now, investigators are looking into what went wrong. In a statement released from the company, they say, "We will cooperate in any way possible with the investigation and to take every possible measure to prevent such an accident from happening again." Officials from the Port of Providence and from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration are in charge of the investigation.
We're in the preliminary stages. We're processing the scene, collecting physical evidence, interviewing witnesses, obtaining documents, and all the basic standard stuff you do in any fatality investigation.
OSHA is releasing very few details about what might have happened, but they say they'll look at all the possibilities.
In crane accidents, usually it's a matter of simple physics. You've got a machine trying to lift a load. So the things that we look at are how much was the load, what was the boom angle, what inertial forces might have been applied to the boom.
Now, the work site here along Gate 3 has been closed all day and will remain so until OSHA concludes its investigation. In Providence with the Mobile Newsroom, Raina Smith, Eyewitness News.
New at 5:30 tonight, a land deal is underway in New Bedford. We now know 3 property owners have sold options on their land to a Las Vegas developer who wants to build a casino in the city. The properties include the Satkin Mill and the Kyler Seafood Building.
To be assimilated into the cultural mainstream was being brought to bear on Native Americans across the country. In 1879, Rhode Island maneuvered to sell the Narragansett's land and abolish the tribe. In payment, those recognized as tribal members by the state were each given $16.56. But they were not granted equal rights. After 1928, only paupers, the mentally incompetent, and Narragansett Indians were not allowed to vote in Rhode Island. The law was not amended until 1950. In 1975, the tribe filed suit for the return of over 3,000 acres in southern Rhode Island. They charged that the state violated the law when it sold the land without approval from the federal government. The case was settled out of court when Rhode Island agreed to give the Narragansetts 1,800 acres of land in Charlestown, with the stipulation that the tribe...
11 o'clock last night ends in death. And News Channel 10's Allison Bologna has more.
He was operating this crane overnight, loading scrap metal onto this vessel when he was killed, trapped inside the crane's cab for hours until rescue workers could get to him.
There are an awful lot of cranes in the construction industry and in the maritime industry, and there are accidents with cranes.
OSHA is trying to figure out what happened here. They will spend a few more days on site.
We will continue with interviewing witnesses. We have an interest in the continued examination of the crane itself, which will be dismantled, and as it's taken apart, there are measurements that we will want to be taking.
Todd Rushworth, the crane's operator, was working for Metals Recycling.
Todd was a hard worker. He's ran the crane up there for many years, and as far as I knew him, he was a hard worker. Never caused any problems, and he's been there for years.
He liked working for that company?
Yeah, he worked for him a long time. That was his life.
The company issued this statement. "We will cooperate in any way possible with the investigation and to take every possible measure to prevent such an accident from happening again. This commitment to safety is paramount at our company, and we are determined to maintain it at the highest level."
He seemed like a very friendly guy. If you waved to him, he was the kind of guy that always waved back.
Todd is from Gloucester, and according to neighbors, he has a lot of friends who like to spend time with him at his house. They will miss him, and people here want to help.
It's a very friendly neighborhood, and people take care of each other. And I'm sure people would be willing to help him with the dog and things like that, but we have to have some guidance.
And Todd was 42 years old, and according to everyone we spoke with, he was not married and he did not have any children. OSHA has 6 months to complete their investigation. Allison Bologna, News Channel 10.
with attack dogs. And you know, when somebody says, well,
agencies of people driving from Mississippi.
Tribal leaders say public opinion and politics have nothing to do.
And the South Shore, we're at 75 right now. Temperatures overnight cooling off between 60 and 65 degrees.
10 for Access Hollywood.
News Channel 10's Kelly McGee has our story.
33-year-old Walter Gorski of East Providence was killed when the 11-foot trench he was working in last February suddenly collapsed. He was an apprentice plumber employed by Greenwood Plumbing and Heating in Warwick. Greenwood was fined $89,000 by OSHA for that incident. $70,000 of that fine was for a willful violation, in which OSHA claims the company failed to protect employees from cave-ins.
I'm very concerned as to what their safety practices are.
Now the victim's family is outraged that Greenwood Plumbing has once again been cited by OSHA for the same type of violation.
How many times does this need to happen? What I have come to learn from OSHA and reading their rules that they have published, trenches that are dug 5 feet or more are to be secured either by braces or by what they call a trench box to protect the sides from caving in.
Greenwood Plumbing's attorney tells News Channel 10 there was a trench box delivered to the work site, and the company is contesting the OSHA fines. Through this statement, the attorney says the company is deeply mourning the loss of Walter Gorski, and their hearts go out to the family, especially at this time of year. The Gorski family says it will celebrate the holidays, but only for Walter's young daughter, who was born 2 months after her father's death. As for the criminal investigation into Gorski's death, Woonsocket police tell News Channel 10 they've presented their findings to the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office says no decision has been made yet about whether prosecutors will present the case to a grand jury. Kelly McGee, News Channel 10.
Well, here's perhaps all the proof that you need that those minimum clearance signs on overpasses on the highway are there for a good reason.